So on the flip side, the avoiders, they are overwhelmed by just everyday sensory input. So normal sounds that you hear, normal feelings, normal sights, smells, just normal sensory input that we're getting every day. They are oversensitive to it. It's too much for them. It's bombarding them. They're feeling attacked. They're overly sensitive to the sensory input. So they're trying to hide from it all. They're trying to get away from it. They're trying to escape. They're trying to melt into a puddle on the floor. Just get out.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica, and this is All Things Sensory by Harkla.
We are both certified occupational therapy assistants, and together with Harkla, we are on a mission to empower parents, therapists, and educators to help raise confident and strong children of all abilities.
On this podcast, we chat about all things sensory, diving into special needs, occupational therapy, parenting, self-care, overall health and wellness, and so much more.
We are here to provide raw, honest, and fun strategies, ideas, and information for parents, therapists, and educators, as well as other professionals to implement into daily life.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey there, welcome back to All Things Sensory by Harkla. We're so happy to have you. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica, and so sorry Rachel is sick right now. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I'm sorry for you, not for our listeners, because our listeners are going to be fine.
They're fine with it.
I feel sorry that you have to talk so much today for our episodes.
Yeah, me too. It's exhausting.
I'll try to talk more, but I don't know if that would ever be a thing.
I don't think that'll ever be a thing. Too much to say. All right, well, let's jump into it and talk about what we're going to talk about today.
All right, we're going to talk about our favorite sensory products for sensory seekers and sensory avoiders. We are kind of talking more about children, but adults can also benefit from everything we're going to talk about today. And if you are listening to this in like the holiday shopping season, any of the products that we talk about, like the swing, the body sock, the Harkla sensory products are going to be on sale for our holiday sale. We'll link it in the show notes. So if you are listening to this and you're like, oh, my kid would love that, you can get it during our holiday sale.
Yes. On that note, this is a question that we get asked a lot. What products do you recommend for this? My child's a sensory seeker. What do you recommend? My child's an avoider. What do you recommend? I'd say most commonly we get the question of, I have a sensory seeker. What should I be buying them? And the reason why we wanted to share this episode is to kind of give you an idea of like, why should you be buying products based on your child's sensory needs? And really it comes down to helping them meet that threshold and helping to keep their nervous system regulated, which you can do through different sensory products.
And you don't have to have sensory products to help meet your child's sensory needs. There's a lot of things you can do without products, but the products are great. They're really nice to have.
They are fun. Yes.
I think first we need to talk about like what is a sensory seeker versus what is a sensory avoider, especially for anybody who's new here. Maybe you're not familiar with those terms, or you've heard them, but you're not totally sure what they mean. Let's start there.
Yeah, so we'll start with the sensory seeker, who is someone that is craving more sensory input in order to make their brain feel a little bit more organized or satisfied. They're trying to satisfy this urge, and their brain is saying, I need more in order for it to register properly. Like right now, Jess and I, we're hanging out, we're feeling good, we're able to focus on what's important right now. We're not necessarily seeking out too much. We do have these great fidgets that we're playing with, but we're able to focus on what's important. We're able to, sit comfortably in our chairs. We've met our sensory needs, so we're able to focus. But for someone who is seeking a lot of sensory input in one of the 8 senses, they're going to be craving movement or touch or smells. They're going to be sitting here smelling the fidget, right? And they're going to be licking it or biting it or wiggling their feet a lot or wiggling in their chair. They're just trying to organize their body so that way they feel good. And that's really what a sensory seeker is in a nutshell.
Yeah. And the trick with that is that the sensory seeking, tendencies or sensory seeking, things that we see are going to be negatively impacting the person's ability to get through their day. So they're not going to be able to focus because their body needs more of a certain type of input. And this can cause challenges with academic tasks in school. This can cause challenges with transitions, with daily routine activities like getting dressed or taking a bath or eating a meal, because the person is seeking out so much input that they can't focus on anything else.
Exactly. So on the flip side, the avoiders, they are overwhelmed by just everyday sensory input. So normal sounds that you hear, normal feelings, normal sights, smells, just normal sensory input that we're getting every day. They are oversensitive to it. It's too much for them. It's bombarding them. They're feeling attacked. They're overly sensitive to the sensory input. So they're trying to hide from it all. They're trying to get away from it. They're trying to escape. They're trying to melt into a puddle on the floor. Just get out. Right?
Yep.
So it can be difficult when these two types of individuals are in the same room together, working on a project together, hanging out, best friends, or it could be a match made in heaven. You never know. That's not what we're talking about today. But the goal here is to understand that you can help these children, these adults, whoever it is, you can help these people feel more comfortable by providing them with some tools, some products that are organizing for their nervous systems.
The other thing to keep in mind is that you don't typically have somebody who's just a sensory seeker in all areas, or just a sensory avoider in all areas. What typically happens is you'll have a child who is a sensory seeker for vestibular, tactile, and oral motor input, but a little bit more avoidant to visual input. That's just an example. We call it mixed sensory needs, where pretty much everyone has mixed sensory needs. So even if you do have a sensory seeker or a sensory avoider, just know that they likely seek or avoid in other areas. It just might not be as like prominent or easy to see because the other one is so much bigger.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. And generally when we're talking about our autistic clients or our autistic individuals, generally we see sensory seeking or under-responsive to those near senses, the vestibular, proprioceptive, and interoceptive senses, and they're avoidant or highly sensitive to those far senses, sight, smell, touch, taste, hearing. Those 5.
Yes, the main 5.
Yeah.
The 5 that we all learned in school.
Exactly. So everyone's unique. We do have separate podcast episodes on each of those senses. So we'll link those so you can listen to all of the deepest, darkest things you need to know when it comes to each of those senses. But today we're going to focus on some things that you could look into purchasing if you're interested, or if you have a family friend who has a kiddo with sensory needs, and you could, use this as your shopping list for, just getting some gifts that are out of the box, I don't know. I always feel
that are out of the box.
Just out of the box. Like, just not like a normal toy that you're giving a child for Christmas. It's like, oh, well.
Although I wish these were the norm gifts.
This is what I get for gifts.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm not the norm.
Well.
Anyways, let's move on.
Okay, so we kind of organize this into categories. So we have our 5 favorite sensory products for sensory seekers, and then we'll talk about our 5 favorite sensory products for sensory avoiders.
Yes.
So our first favorite product for sensory seekers is the compression swing. And specifically, of course, we're biased towards the Harkla Compression Swing because it's great though. I loved it before we even worked with Harkla. But the compression swing, it's made with a 2-way stretch, so it doesn't sag to the floor, which is probably one of the best features. So a lot of other great compression swings will you'll sit in it and you'll just sag to the floor. So you have to hang it up higher and higher. But the Harkla compression swing doesn't do that. So it provides the just right amount of input of proprioceptive input while being able to provide as much vestibular input as needed for your vestibular seeker.
Yep. Love the compression swing. Yep. And it's also available in grayish, like my hair.
Oh, yeah, that's right. For those sad beige moms like Rachel.
Moms like me. Okay, so we love that. We also love the body sock for sensory seekers because they can get into this little, compression garment and they can push against it. They can run, they can roll, they can sit on the couch. They can put ball pit balls in it. They can put stuffed animals in it. They can really put whatever they want inside of it. You can push against it. You can stretch. You can put your head in it and hide. You can leave your head out. There's a lot of versatile ways that we would use this in therapy. We do use this in therapy, but also it's just a really cool gift to have available. I mean, I have one for me that's my size, and it's like, it's the best. I have a great time in it.
Yes. The body sock is awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. The next one is a Lycra tube or a Lycra tunnel. So this is just that Lycra material, and you can find different types of Lycra tunnels. So it's a big long tunnel, but instead of a normal like pop-up tunnel, the Lycra tunnel falls down over you as you crawl through it. Or the Lycra tube that you can like get into with your child. And it's like, how do you describe it?
It's just like,
it's like a circle, like a
circle.
Tube. It's a tube.
And I would just like get into it and either have the kid like, I would like provide resistance, and the kids would like run, and I'd like slow them down and give them a lot of input while they're running. They thought it was so fun. And then they'd have to hold it while I'm running. You can get in it. You can sit and do like row your boat
That's the one
back
that
and
I
forth.
like to do. Yeah.
You can like rotate around, so you can like spin in
Call it
it.
the washing machine.
Do you remember when we do that with like 5 people in it? Yeah, that one's really fun.
Yep.
That you need more fabric, but
You need a bigger tube.
yeah, it's just a great versatile tool. I mean, compression material in general is really a versatile tool for the sensory system because it just provides so much resistance, and that resistance is what's really organizing to the nervous system.
Really quickly, we want to let you know about our Black Friday Cyber Monday sale that starts on November 18th and ends on December 2nd. During this sale, you will save 20% on physical sensory products like the compression swing, the weighted blanket, the body sock, and you can also save 25% on any of our digital courses where you can learn about primitive reflexes, sensory diets, and more. Head to the description below, click on the link, and start shopping.
Yep. The next one is a medicine ball. So this is your typical like exercise heavy weighted ball. You could get a big one. I've really been liking, we have at the clinic, we have the small ones, and they vary in weight from like 1 pound all the way up to like 7 or 8 pounds, but they're small enough that a younger, smaller child can pick it up a little bit easier. They can push it.
Are they the sand-filled ones?
I think so.
Yeah. That are like a little squishy and yeah, I like those.
Yeah, I like those small ones. We can link them in the show notes because anytime we talk about products, people are like, where's the link?
And we are talking about products, so we're going to link all of these products
in the show notes.
Yes.
But yeah, so medicine balls are great to provide a lot of great heavy work. You can push them through tunnels. You can carry them. You can do medicine ball slams. I like that one. I'll put a piece of tape on the floor and an X and say, okay, keep your feet here and slam the ball onto the X 5 times. Lift it all the way above your head. Make sure it's safe to do that and it's not so heavy they're going to drop it. But lots of different things you can do to get a lot of great proprioceptive input.
I've always liked using medicine balls on the trampolines.
Yes. Just watch out for those toes.
Dangerous sometimes.
Maybe you wear shoes during this activity.
Yeah, and it could just be a mini trampoline too that you put at an angle and you like toss it at the trampoline and it bounces back.
Yes.
But again, danger, like watch out. You never know where that sucker's gonna go.
Do it at your own discretion. We're not liable.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a fun one to incorporate into like a sensory circuit using like a medicine ball slam, jumping on the trampoline, and then, blowing like a whistle or something, doing a circuit like that. We talk about those all the time.
Yes.
The last one is, in fact, a trampoline or a mini trampoline or what are those? A rebounder. Have you seen the rebounder?
Is that what it is?
It's the one we have upstairs.
Oh, with the handle on it.
No, it doesn't necessarily have a handle. It's just like a mini trampoline for grown-ups.
Oh, okay.
Because the kid trampolines, they don't hold much weight. You can't really bounce on them. The rebounder is like boing, boing, like you can really, just like that.
Okay. So a trampoline.
You can really bounce high on it. And I was seeing this thing online. It was talking about how jumping is like one of the best ways to stay young. And it's just a great exercise. So for us grown-ups.
For adults too.
Yeah. They're just hard for me. Jumping is hard.
Is it?
Yeah. Babies and your body changes and there's a lot
That's a whole nother
happening. There's
topic.
a lot moving.
So for your sensory seeker, a trampoline is a great addition. It allows them to jump, and when you're jumping, you get a lot of compression throughout your entire body, so it's great for that proprioceptive input. Simultaneously, they're going to get vestibular input from the jumping up and down. So, I've had sensory seekers who just will not want to get off the trampoline because they love it so much.
Yeah, and those little ones that have the bars on them or the handles on them, they're also fun because you can hang on those. You can climb and sit like a bat on those. That's what my kids like to do right now.
Like a bat?
Like climb underneath and put their feet on the bar.
Hang like
sit like a bat.
Yeah, I
hang
didn't
like
know
a
what
bat.
that meant.
Golly.
I've never seen a bat sit before.
Yes, they can hang like a bat and get more proprioceptive input as well. So there's a lot of options with those mini trampolines or the rebounders for us grown-ups too.
Or if you have the space to have a large one outside, that's great too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so those were products for sensory seekers.
Yep.
Now our 5 favorite products for sensory avoiders.
Yep.
The first one we thought of was a swing. The compression swing is good, or a platform swing, or some type of swing that provides support. If
the pod swing is a good option too.
If your child is small enough, right? What happens, so if you have a child who avoids vestibular input, avoids activities where their feet leave the ground, a swing is going to be a great option because their body still needs that vestibular input in order to process the sensory world, for postural control, for visual processing. So we don't want to necessarily take away swinging. We want to help them learn how to process that vestibular input. So a swing that has some sort of support so they feel secure, or a swing that's big enough that you, the adult, can sit on the swing and then have your child in your lap is a great option.
Yeah, the swings are really important too. Coming from a personal standpoint, my son who went through a really long phase of not liking the swing and being very gravitationally insecure. And now, we were at the park the other day and he was swinging on a regular swing and push me higher, Mom, push me higher. And I was like, we've come full circle. I just can't even believe it. But literally at the beginning of this year, I was on the platform swing with him because he was so uncomfortable, so posturally insecure that he refused. He didn't want it. And had we not had swings set up at our house, he probably wouldn't have gotten there, at least at this pace. But I think that's what's so important is we can't just not challenge these kids. We can't not give them the input to process. Otherwise, things will just kind of spiral out of control. So platform swings, pod swings, compression swings, giving them the control to swing how they want, how they feel comfortable, letting them keep their feet on the ground and swing if possible, lay on their tummies, whatever is clever in that situation.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is using a therapy ball or a peanut ball. Again, this isn't one that's necessarily a kid's going to open this present under the Christmas tree if that's what you celebrate, or, their birthday present. It's like, oh my God, I got a therapy ball for Christmas.
No, not so much.
But it's not a glamorous gift, not a glamorous product, but it's honestly something that you could use every day for so many ways. I think we have a podcast episode on how many ways that you can use a therapy ball.
We do.
We'll link that as well if this is on your list. But you can steamroll them, you can roll them over, you can grab activities on their tummies, on their backs, you can have them kick the ball to you, you can sit them on it and I almost said shake them side to side, roll them side to side a little bit. No shaking here, please. But there's a lot of fun ways that you can use therapy balls and really beneficial for a variety of sensory needs too.
Yep. The next one is a pop-up tent. And this is great to have to create like a sensory or calm down corner. This is great for our sensory avoiders who get overstimulated by too much visual input, too much auditory input, just too much input from their environment. And they can go into their pop-up tent. They can have all of their favorite things in the pop-up tent, pillows, blankets, music, puzzles, whatever they want in their pop-up tent. And it can be their place to like decompress and chill and reset their nervous system. You could put twinkle lights up to change the lighting. Man, Logan had a pop-up tent for several years.
Yeah.
He's not a sensory avoider, but he still loved it.
Yeah.
But I just think for kids who are sensory avoiders, who get overstimulated easily, having that available in the house as their go-to place when they need it is so great.
I love that. All right, the next one we love, vibrating pillows or stuffed animals that you can squeeze and they vibrate. Vibration is a really cool sensory tool because it offers so much input. Seekers love them. Oftentimes, avoiders love them as well. It's proprioceptive, it's tactile input. They can hug it, they can squeeze it, they can, do whatever they need with it. And it's just a great tool to have available in the pop-up tent, the sensory corner.
In the car.
In the car is a great one. Yeah.
At bedtime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Love that.
The last one that we have here is like a crash pad or a ball pit area. So something for your child to be able to crash onto, to lay on, to lay in, to explore. Both a crash pad or crash cushion of some sort is great. The ball pit is great because it also provides some more tactile and visual input. This is a great like play space item to have available if your child's a sensory avoider, because it's also going to provide them some calming proprioceptive input. I also like the crash pads because they can climb under them to get some proprioceptive input, or like cover themselves in the balls in the ball pit if there's enough, and they can kind of like hide.
Yeah. Deep pressure, proprioceptive input, heavy work, those are going to be your best friends for highly sensitive, anxious, overly sensitive kids to sensory input, because deep pressure, it it overrides that overstimulation to sensory input. So you're going to really use that proprioceptive input to your advantage, and it'll be a game changer. It really will. Yep. I think we should add one more. I think we should talk about these fidgets. I think we should try and see if SPEKS will sponsor us, because we're obviously, shout out, fidgeting with these fidgets. I've had it all week and I'm like obsessed with it. SPEKS.
Okay.
I have a like squish ball too, a squish ball, stress ball too.
These ones you have to be careful because they're small enough that they can be put in the mouth.
Yep.
So disclaimer there.
Not for young children.
Or kids who put things in their mouth.
I would say these are for grown-ups and for grown-ups. For the grown-ups listening. For adults. In your car, while you're working, while you're podcasting, while you're at a presentation. I don't know. I'm just like, it's satisfying.
Yeah, it's very satisfying.
I know.
So there's our favorite sensory product for adults.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
All right, we will link everything in the show notes. Yep. If this episode was helpful, please let us know. Leave us a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, All Things Sensory. If you are listening on Spotify, you can leave us a review. If you're listening on iTunes, you can leave us a review. The best way to help us and support us if you enjoy our show is to actually share this episode with a friend. Yeah, so screenshot the sensory products that you have and you're loving and that are helping you, and tag us on Instagram at All Things Sensory Podcast, or get your SPEKS and tag us and share the love. I think that the more information that is out there about normalizing this stuff, like we're two, somewhat normal adults, just using our sensory strategies to make it through the day, and it's all gonna be okay. Yep, there you go. It's all gonna be okay. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. We love you, and we'll chat with you soon. Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for listening to All Things Sensory by Harkla.
If you want more information on anything mentioned in the show, head over to harkla.co/podcast to get the show notes.
If you have any follow-up questions, the best place to ask those is in the comments on the show notes, or message us on our Instagram account, which is at Harkla_family or at All Things Sensory Podcast. If you just search Harkla, you'll find us there.
Like we mentioned before, our podcast listeners get 10% off their first order at Harkla. Whether it's for one of our digital courses or one of our sensory swings, the discount code SENSORY will get you 10% off. That's SENSORY.
Head to harkla.co/sensory to use that discount code right now.
We are so excited to work together to help create confident kids all over the world. While we make every effort to share correct information, we're still learning.
We will double check all of our facts, but realize that medicine is a constantly changing science and art.
One doctor or therapist may have a different way of doing things from another.
We are simply presenting our views and opinions on how to address common sensory challenges, health-related difficulties, and what we have found to be beneficial that will be as evidence-based as possible.
By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or your child.
Consult your child's pediatrician or therapist for any medical issues that he or she may be having.
This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the podcast.
Thanks so much for listening.